I don't know whether it's between serious gateway activations or what's approaching, but something's always going on. So, but I'm just sharing my thoughts, and coming out of meditation yesterday was really interesting. I don't know whether it's just this looping effect of being in a number 8 year where things come round again, because last year in another country, when I was in deep in meditation doing spiritual work, I was astral travelling, and I don't know, maybe some people might have remember the video or not, it's if you follow me, I was in meditation and I was projected to the consciousness of a little boy in the States. It was when I was channeling some quite dark things about paedophilia and stuff that was going on around me, and weird dream state things. And I felt like it was in the deep south. There was a boy on his own in his house, and he was playing with, I can't recall if it was Legos or tractors, wooden or plastic items, but I just remember this little boy, and I was projected into his space. Found that very, very strange, because that was the first time I'd ever sort of got that deep or connected to someone, another energy, although it's obviously our own because everything's a projection of ourselves. But anyway, so, and it was at a time when I was sort of focusing on the protection of vulnerable beings around me, and puppies and dogs and children and things, and it seems like it's resurfacing. Obviously the light is winning, has won, and the spiritual warfare that has been playing out in the unseen realms is manifesting in the physical, we know. So it's, for me, just really interesting, certain few of the things connected to Akashic Records yesterday and deep meds. And also there was a thing about overlapping timelines. There was beings or energies running into my... how to explain it? Running into the visions that were unravelling in my consciousness, in my astral travelling. And it felt like, I don't know if it's a course correction or if it's people catching up with us now, or if it's certain karmic debts that's being released. It felt like there was, that I was moving quite calmly or quite connected in my own personal space, and other things were trying to come in. It's not negative or positive or anyone trying to come into my energetic field, because that doesn't happen anymore. I'm just too protected at this stage. Attempts will always be made, but they don't get far at all. Whether I feel it or not is up to my guides and the messages that come through. But anyway, I just thought it's interesting to mention now, because there's such a powerful energy, and whether we connect with plant medicine or not, even just in meditative states, it feels like we can, it could just be, I'm just talking for myself, I'm going to places, deeper states of consciousness than I've ever been, which is quite exciting and quite expansive, quite liberating, quite interesting and new. So there's a few sometimes I don't always have paper around me to write the downloads down, but it's a practice that I really, really full joy. And maybe I'm meant to be sharing, just because there could be some messages for our own selves now. Like, you know, if you do want to make space for a day or two to be away from people, to be in our own energy, like, it is so important for the empath. I don't think we fully realise we've not been... Well, there are many people that have done it. That's why they live either off-grid or very solitary lives, because they are... Some are wounded. Obviously, a lot of us have been through deep wounding and pull ourselves back from people, but not in a distrusting way. Just that we are healthier and more balanced and aligned in our own energy, because we just take on so much, and we can't really focus on what we need to focus on in our own energy if there's other stuff going on around us, that is other people with their own awakenings, with their own woundings, with their own karmic patterns and karmic debt they're working through. So it's not like we don't ever hang out with anybody, but as an empath, the awareness, self-awareness, self-mastery, like knowing thyself on this journey, like as we progress, it only benefits us, because then we know whether we're strong enough to move into a social situation or not, whether we need to hermit for the whole day, which means, closing the mouth, closing the eyes, meditation, and not speaking, not connecting with anybody else, whether it's understood by other people, because some people, they don't meditate or they don't connect with themselves in that way, and that's fine. But what we've chosen is what we've chosen and what we've decided for ourselves, and our decisions and choices cannot be impacted by whether somebody else chooses to do similar practices to us or not. We can only live a life by example, should we so choose, and like if we feel the benefits and see the benefits in the physical, mental and spiritual spaces, then we're not really going to turn our back on ourselves after like lots of energy and effort that's been put towards expansion and advancement and the breaking of karmic pattern and loops. And as I said before, I'm not out here preaching that I'm a purist. There's things that they sometimes they call it a pardon. I get a pardon for with certain things, choices that I make. Oh, they're talking to me. Sorry. And it's a human life. We come here to have fun, but just to not fall asleep on ourselves. Like, there's just deep awakenings happening right now. And I guess I didn't realise this was going to be the time that I was going to do it, but it for some reason seems to be aligned. I wrote a blog, which is really nice. I sort of had writer's block for, I think it's been a year now, and I know it usually my writing comes when I'm very isolated, when I'm really left on my own, and I have days where I'm just in my own consciousness, and then it's this cathartic release, which I've talked about on other videos before. And I'm really, really, really grateful, because I'm in a calm setting, nature setting, and in a safe space, and it has allowed me to just, it's a brief article on the web about authentic holistic living and what this sort of branding, why I chose these words, what this small business life meant to me when I started it, how it's evolved, and the practices that I personally do to maintain my own spiritual health, physical and mental health, in the times we're living in right now. Some might call them toxic times, revelation times, end times, whatever times we identify with. It's a powerful time to be alive right now. And I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because my physical appearance, my mental sort of mindset's changed very dramatically, and people can see that. And it was never a choice to lose weight or a choice to do this, that and the other. There was no sort of, as I said before, like to become a shaman. Like, these things were not on my vision board. It was all about becoming a better version of myself and connectedness to spirit. And the gifts and things that have come along the way is because I've been open. I haven't really been controlled or strategic in the ways that I've asked for guidance and support and gifts. I've now strategic in the ways that I harness and display or connect with certain things, but that's after the arrival of things. We have to practice, we have to play about a bit with these gifts, we have to learn, we have to stumble, we have to practice. It's all a practice, and there'll be practice until the day that we leave the physical realm. And one of the things that I think maybe might get misinterpreted, or people just call me, quite obsessive or disciplined, and it's not. In my eyes, it's not, because being on this nomadic path, what I talk about in this article, this little thing, is I'm in a nomadic situation now that I've never been in, and like, you can't really be. We can be disciplined in our own ways and know what's good for our body, mind, and soul, but we can't really control the environments we're in, because they're a lot of the time they're not our own, so we can't be too precious about stuff. But there are things that I try to bring into those spaces. You know, I always start the day with ginger, with lime, and with just to alkalise the body, and I always fast for the good part of the day, and really full joy in this experience of finishing the last meal pre 8 o'clock. And you know, back in the day when I had the munchies and things, it's changed now. One, I'm in a different space, so haven't had the munchies for a long time, but yeah, just getting more conscious of things going into the dream state, knowing that I dream very deeply, and the messages in my dreamscapes right now and the stories that are coming through are things that I don't really want to sleep on. So I know that finishing it, eating at certain times, and waking up to the day, trying to alkalise the body with the liquid and the light helps me. It's been quite a beautiful and new journey for me to learn myself in this way and learn my own energy and see how that affects my mood and various points of the month, obviously being a woman with a womb space and the moon time and things. But one of I think they're called the Healers of Light on Instagram. I don't know if I posted it on the community tab on the tube or on my Facebook page, but food, everything is, if we believe in energetics, if we connect with the realm of energetics, like everything is energy, lower vibrations, higher vibrations. It's not a hierarchy, it's just a scale, numbers. It goes from 1 upwards, 0 upwards. Gosh, clearing already. Excuse me, sorry, I was in deep beds yesterday, so there seems to be a lot that's just like wants to splurge out of me, so this may be a bit verbal diarrhea, apologies, but just what happens when we're in our own energy and we don't speak for a while. They did a series of slides on the frequency of food. It's a perspective I found very interesting because when we talk about fake synthetic foods and the vegan agenda, where real foods are not, and I'm not talking about raw diet, we have to go where we're called, and sometimes I like warming foods and I use a lot of cayenne pepper and gingers and things like that in my diet anyway when I'm having raw, but you know, I'm mindful of my moon time and eating warm foods at various points in the year depending on environment. And so it started off talking about herbs and sprouts as being a very high frequency. Corianders and basils and parsleys at like 70 hertz. Now, I'm not sure the study that they did, but I just wanted to go through the slides because I want to put it out there. I believe in frequency. I study it in my own personal ways and in things that have happened to me for the past couple of years, and obviously working with sound. And there's some beautiful practitioners and people that are sharing this information and working with conscious frequencies for the healing of the nations, healing of the people. And so that was really beautiful for me to see this slide. And yeah, the first one, so herbs and sprouts are at 70 hertz, and it continues to go down the scale of raw fresh fruits and vegetables, so like dark leafy greens, especially for irons and moon time. You know, it's great to have these darker leafy greens, lots of chlorophyll, which help the sort of regenerative cells in the body, and they're about 60 to 80 hertz. And then the next slide was about nuts and seeds, almonds, walnuts, flax seeds and chia seeds being around 50 to 60 hertz. And then cooking vegetables, I mean, obviously we know like some of us carrots actually have a better nutritional value when they're cooked as opposed to being raw, but they were talking about cooked vegetables and whole grains being around 50 hertz. Quinoa, however anyone says it, steaming of vegetables is around 50 hertz. And then animal products, so I'm not here to sprout any particular anti anything people choose. I've chosen what I eat and what I don't, and I tend to have a very mostly plants. I don't know if anybody read that book. I read The Omnivore's Dilemma back in the day by Michael Pollan when I was working at Slow Food, but I think he came out with a new book, mostly plants, Michael Pollan. Some might vibe with him, some might not, but I try to eat fish, especially if I'm on the beach and around fishermen. I want to support local industry and economy of where I go. other things I may not resonate with anymore. But anyway, so animal products, meat, poultry, fish and dairy products. And I do have local butter sometimes where I'm at, depending on what my body calls for. I really can't plan this stuff. I just have to listen. And as I've come into this intuitive awareness over the years, I do not like to deny my body what it's calling for. And I've spoken to my guides and things like that, and they're very relaxed on things like that for me. As long as I just maintain a high vibration in the ways that I can. So animal product around 20 to 30 hertz. And then it says processed and refined meat, so fast food, sugary snacks, packaged and heavily processed foods, because sometimes the plastic can seep into the foods and things, is 10 hertz. So the reason why I share this is because it's not necessarily some people do, they're obsessed with the gym and physical appearance and want the pert butt and da-da-da. I kind of like natural living, a natural woman body, you know. I think we're all natural. I like a natural woman's shape. I don't really go, I've never been a gym person. I just like to be active and see how my body works with the different natural modalities available for health and fitness. But the higher the frequency of the things that we consume on the mental planet, you know, like turning off the television, is a frequency, it's a tool that is damaging the people. Or some people want to watch it. I'm not saying don't. We do what we want, but we can only go by our own observations. And what if we've been studying energy and we're in spaces where there's no television, to when we go and when the television's turned on, frequency it can affect. Like, we start to make observations. There's little scientists on this biological experiment or whatever. So the foods and things that we intake affect the frequency we're at. And so the higher frequency we reach is the lighter we are, which means that when heavy density energies are around us, we can start to realise that better. We can better. Fish and chips might be cool in one day. I am by the sea. We might be able to feel those denser energies more around us. Heavy metals, this is why fluoride and tap water and stuff are not the best for our body, because the denser we are, we can't receive the light codes and the information that comes through from the universe, from the sun, from galactic beings, bodies that we know is happening right now. So the lighter we are, not weight necessarily, although it does naturally happen when we address our own trauma. I've spoken about, many people speak about muscle memory, and trauma gets trapped in the body and the cells. And this is why over the generations, when we don't do ancestral healing, things like that, is we can become bigger, and it's stored in the memory. So this is why when we work consciously with energy, we can reduce all of that. It's not about not eating and going on the diets. It's about conscious harnessing and conscious work with energy, our personal energy. And so the lighter we are in terms of frequency, and the less fluoride and heavy metals in the body, the less we're blocked from seeing what is available to us in the world, because there is a lot more that meets the eye. And so, without this coming across as any judgment of other people, but I know what I see, I know what I believe, I know what I hear as a clairaudient being, clairsentient being, which we all are, this psychic telepathy that's growing between people. We've all experienced it in our own ways. Some people place more importance on it than others. But we just watch the times unravel right now, because it's powerful. And so I share that, and the Healers of Light, I like some of their things. And so this is one perspective. And if this resonates with you, maybe you might like to look into the frequency of food. But the reason is because what we consume affects our mental health, affects the gut's another brain. What we put in our food, what we put in our bodies is of a frequency, and so that our spiritual bodies are affected by frequencies, the auric field, and so we can draw better things towards us if we're in a higher frequency. If we're in a lower frequency, we can draw certain darker things towards us that we don't necessarily want. If we're conscious and we're aware of that, and we're doing deeper, darker work, then then we're conscious of it. We protect ourselves in the ways, and we could do what we've got to do for the collective ascension. You know, it doesn't mean the darkness disappears because the light's won right now. No, there's a balance, as above, so below, the polarity. And for me, as I do experience duality, there's different, Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and all that lot. You know, a lot of people have different ideas of duality or oneness or what's going on, but I know what I experience on this realm. And anyway, without going down that route, you might want to look into the frequency of foods that we're eating. It doesn't take a lot to nourish ourselves, you know, it doesn't take a lot. There's so much food, right? I mean, there's so much being wasted in the supermarkets. Unfortunately, we're not always able to go to the markets or farms at the minute, so I'm having to dip into supermarkets and seeing, like, there's so much in the reduced section. I mean, if we know how to cook, there is just so much we could be creating from things that are going to waste right now. And back in the day, I was a freegan, so I was doing a lot of, like in London, there was an amazing scene around, I don't know, 2006, 2007, where people were cooking in squats and freeganism, like skipping in the bins. And God, I don't know why this is coming up. Craig Rook, maybe he's connected with me online or somehow, but we were doing slow food on film, and he did this film on freeganism back in the day, and we connected in slow food in Bologna. And it was a beautiful insight into the world of food waste and people skipping in, like jumping into bins. I mean, I know the laws have changed now and various things, but back in the day when I was living in Notting Hill, I was on a low budget with work, and yeah, I'd skip the bins. So you'd get so much out of a lot of the bigger chains, and it was quite a powerful movement at that time. So I don't really know where that's at now, but I know a lot of people have started to grow their own things. But anyway, long 2141, a long transmission. Don't miss the energy right now. I mean, we can't miss it because we're in it, but connect with it in the ways that you may like to. You may like to be looking at shungite and protections from various EMF waves and things that we experience with Wi-Fi and things that are all around us, if we so believe that, because that can affect our frequency and our mood and our mind. But yeah, earthing, feet on ground, crystals, sound frequencies, and music. Play, don't forget the music and play. And have a beautiful day. Bye.